welcome to my channel. I want to say a big hello and welcome to all new and returning subscribers, and if by chance you stumbled across this channel and especially this particular episode, it's all about cross stitch with a little bit of life stuff thrown in, and this episode especially is a bit different to a lot of the other episodes that I normally film, because this is my end of year WIP Parade. And I also want to acknowledge that I had very briefly, for maybe a couple of hours, had a very similar episode uploaded, and I think it was just not meant to be. I was clever enough to somehow, through the magic of editing or uploading or some aspect of technology that I don't fully understand, but I've got some suspicions, once it had uploaded and such, it played upside down, yet in the editing software it was looking fine. So there might have been something about the camera, in the sense that for the first part I was using a camera that normally sits on the top of my monitor, and it has a ring light, and it's possible that I may have had it sitting upside down and it filmed in a particular way that when editing happened it all tried to correct itself and it ended up that way. That's my theory anyway. So thank you for everyone who did watch that particular episode, and very big thank you to the two people who did comment on that particular episode, just to flag for me, look, it's appearing upside down for everyone, and thank you very much for your wonderful comments about the WIPs that I did share as well. So thank you very much. I really do appreciate it, having those comments quickly come up, because it meant that I could re-record this and it will all appear hopefully the correct way as we're meant to see things. So thank you again so much. Thank you. Okay, so let's get into this. I won't do my usual extra spiels and things. So with this particular WIP Parade, I'm also going to share with you some of the projects that I've completed this year, and the rest of the WIPs are WIPs that for the most part I have worked on for this year, but they've also been WIPs that I may have started a few years ago and I've fallen out of love with them or not touched them for different reasons. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully many of them make an appearance next year and all will be good. So let's start off with the things that I have either fully finished or finished but not framed out or done anything special with. So with that in mind, the first one that I've finished but not fully finished is this bookmark called the Hawks. It is a pattern that I had downloaded from the Stitch website, and Stitch is an Australian based website, and they are based up in Queensland, and they have a great variety of kits and patterns and all the rest. And this Hawks bookmark is associated with the AFL football team, an Australian Football League called the Hawthorn Hawks. And so the team colours are very much like what we see here, and with the word Hawks I use the DMC variegated thread number that I can't quite remember. I keep thinking 158, it's a 158 something. I can't remember the exact number, but it pretty much really well matched the team colours, and with the team mascot symbol logo that we have here, it has a combination of solid thread or solid colour thread and variegated thread. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So this was a start and a finish for this year, and it was part of the AFL Footy Challenge that I'd set for myself for this year, and I'm feeling pretty certain that I'll do the challenge again next year. If you want to know a bit more about that challenge that I'd set for myself, have a look back in many of my episodes that range between March and September this year. I usually rambled on a bit about the challenge and how it worked for me, and all the rest. But I'll probably do a special episode next year as I get closer to the month of March, just to fully explain how I'm going to do the challenge, and because it'll be the second time around, I'll know a lot more about how I'm going to do it. So the next project that I think I started a couple of years ago and never fully finished because I'm still figuring out in my head as to how it's all going to work. So this, oh, by the way, this particular Hawthorn Hawks project, it was stitched on 14 count Aida with 2 DMC threads over 1 fabric square. It looks like it's almost a navy blue fabric, though I have worked on other navy blue fabric and this isn't quite as dark, but it's, I guess, a similar shade to the navy blue. So this is the same fabric as well. It's a 14 count Aida, and it's this long banner, and I ended up using this really beautiful variegated thread that I have in my collection, and I think it's probably a combination of maybe 2 or 3 different specialty threads that I've got, and it was just these words that really stand out to me for what cross stitch is and floss tube and that kind of thing, where we've got those keywords of floss and fabric and being enabled by people or each other, and finishes and charts and all those sorts of things. And my initial aim, and this is where my headspace is still trying to figure things out, so I'll sound disjointed. So in my headspace, I was thinking of having it like a square fancy pincushion, a little bit like Hands-On Designs, Kathy, her sorts of projects that are very much sort of square and that kind of thing. But I haven't fully figured out how the top and bottom would be. I don't know, I haven't quite figured it out, but I'm sure I'll get there in the end. But I'm just really happy with how this has worked out, and in terms of the font and that, because I didn't follow any specific chart or pattern or anything like that for the font, for the letters. So that's why many of the letters are looking a little bit different, a little bit funky, because I just wanted to just play around, see how things went, and it might end up being that I just frame it up in the length that we see, and that might be it. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. So talking about pincushions and that kind of thing, you saw me playing around a little bit with this. So this is a tiny modernist design. It's an elephant pincushion, and I'm going to have to fix this up a little bit in a sense that I'm happy that it's done. It's worked out well. The threads that I used to try and create that divot in the middle, they've broken. They've come apart, and mostly because I am lazy and I didn't want to fish out a button or anything like that. I'll go and purchase one, but tomorrow during my lunch break, I'm thinking that I will pop into the haberdashery or the Spotlight and pick up just like a couple of buttons or something, just to help create that divot, because what I had done to create the divot was I'd gotten a couple of threads and just stitched back and forth between the two sides to pull it taut and create that that divot or dip between the two. And yeah, anyway, this particular project was started stitching on it a couple of years ago, when we started having our lockdowns and working from home. And with my job at the time, we were doing a lot of online meetings where I was just a participant, or just a participant. I didn't need to actually contribute anything to those meetings. And so that's where, just to keep my hands busy and still take in the information that I needed, that's why I started stitching on this a lot more. And it had also actually been started as part of the Black Needle Society's Autumn and Stars Hollow Stitching Retreat, where one of the themes or prompts was elephant in the room, and I needed to stitch something that had an elephant in it. And yeah, this worked out pretty good. This was stitched on, I believe it to be 28 count linen. It's a specialty fabric where it was like hand dyed, and it's meant to have the mottled kind of look. And it was stitched with all DMC threads, 2 strands over 2 fabric squares, and I think it turned out okay. I ended up using batting that you would normally use for a quilt, so that's where it's like a bit funky and lopsided, and I think I just really wanted to get this thing done. I've found that with biscuit news, I like stitching them. They're a lot of fun. Joining them together, for my eyes, it's a bit funky. I'm not a huge fan of it, so I may not stitch too many more of them, even though they're beautiful. They're really cool. Speaking of such, this was another finish that I had for this year, and this one is called Biscorn Roo, as in like the kangaroo, ROO. And so this particular design was created by Handlebar Stitcher, and this pattern is a free pattern that's available on the Cottage Garden Threads website, and it uses all of the Cottage Garden threads. Well, it's from all of the threads for this project are from Cottage Garden Threads. And so on the front here, we've got kangaroos, we've got the waratah flowers in the centre, and then we've got some wattle flowers, and then on the back we've got some more of the wattle flowers and the waratah in the centre. And this one was all good to stitch. I used a lot of creative flair in this one, where just due to the way that I was stitching it, I needed to customize it a little bit. And the other customization aspect with this particular project is the fabric. So I've had this 18 count fabric in my collection for a while, and it was white, but I wanted to dye it initially yellow for a different project, and it didn't quite turn out the way that I was hoping, and the project I had in mind did have a lot of yellow in it, so it was just going to blend in too much. And so what I decided to do was use some Krafts sprays that are normally used for scrapbooking. And so I was just curious about how it turned out. So the sprays that I used were 2 different types of green. I think one was like an olive green, and I can't remember what the other one was. And I think it turned out pretty good, and I think it's just given it just a bit of different detail that my other fabrics just wouldn't give, and it's also got like a little bit of sparkle in it as well from the actual sprays that I used. So I'm actually really happy with how this one turned out, and yeah, that's all good. So they're my finishes. So with the WIPs that I do have to share with you, They're not in any particular order, and yeah, we'll get there. It'll be good. We've got quite a few, so I hope that you have a drink with you or several, or that you're able to pause and come back, and let's kick in. So the first project I have to share with you is a Dimensions kit that I've had for a long time, and this one is called 4 Seasons Kittens, or 4 Seasons Cats, and I've just started on what I'm assuming to be is summer. So this particular project, I don't remember how long I've been working on it off and on, and it's a project that I've felt a bit ho-hum about, where with all Dimensions kits, they're beautiful, they look really, really pretty, and it's a lot to do with, I guess, the way they're charted, with the way the threads are sorted out. So for anyone who has stitched a Dimensions kit, you'll know what I'm talking about, where it's got a variation between 1 strand stitches right through to 3 strands or more in some circumstances, and that's to give it that texture and different dimension. And it's got half stitches and full cross stitches and French knots and all that kind of stuff, and it makes it look pretty. I'm just not a huge fan of it, even though I have stitched a few Dimensions kits, and this is, I think, one of 2 kits that will appear in this WIP Parade. But I am looking forward to getting this quarter done, and I'll then give it a wash and most likely frame it, and yeah, just admire the work that I've put into it. Okay, the next project that I have is this one. So this one is called Midnight Glow. It's a custom craft pattern. I don't remember who the designer is. It may be, by memory, Diane Allaire, and I've got roughly 10,000 stitches to go before this one's done. So I did have an idea that I'd have it finished by this year. That didn't happen. So this is being stitched on 14 count Aida. The previous pattern, this one here, I'm using all of the called for threads that came in the kit. It's being stitched on 18 count Aida. So with this particular project, Midnight Glow, I am stitching this all with DMC thread and using 2 strands over 1 fabric square. So hopefully this one features a bit more next year, just to get it done. That would be really cool. The next one I have is called Let It Snow. This one is stitched on 18 count navy blue Aida, and I started this one this year during the June long weekend, and this particular font and such, it's from a cross stitch magazine. I believe it to be Ultimate Cross Stitch Christmas, the 2018 edition, I believe, and it has 2 different colours in it. It's got the DMC B5200 and the DMC metallic, and what makes this one just a little bit different and a little bit annoying to stitch is that with the DMC cotton, they've recommended to use 3 strands of the B5200 just to give it a bit of that texture, and to get it just to sit up just a little bit more on the fabric. And pardon me, it was an absolute pain in the neck to stitch, especially on 18 count Aida. It was just tough to get the thread through the holes, and I think if I was stitching perhaps on 14 count or even 12 count fabric, then it may have been okay, but this was just a pain. So my aim with this particular project is just to stitch it on the June long weekend, and the reason for that is that it was part of the AFL football challenge that I set for myself, and during that particular long weekend, the AFL crew organisation, they have this special fundraiser for motor neuron disease because an ex-player, and I think he was an ex-coach as well, he's been living with MND for quite a long time now, and so they do this challenge which is quite similar to the ice bucket challenge that many of you might remember, that took the internet by storm for a little while there. In this particular case, for the fundraiser, there's a small group of Australian celebrities from different walks of life, like TV personalities or sporting personalities or musicians or anywhere in between, and they dress up in a costume. So it could be like Wonder Woman or the Hulk or something along those lines. And what they do is they go on this little slippery dip into this big pit or pool of freezing cold water. It's got ice cubes and all that kind of stuff in it. And the aim is to have that freezing, oh my god, this is so cold kind of thing, because that's the kind of effect that MND has on the body, where you just sort of seize up and you just almost like you're trapped in your own body. And people, it's to all to raise money for the motor neuron disease foundation or something, or some similar charities to research to find a cure. So I'll most likely stitch some snowflakes and that kind of thing around this, and eventually frame it up, and yeah, it could look pretty good. The next project I have to share with you is the pink Bottlebrush mini. So this is one of my own designs, and it's available for purchase on the Hot Cross Stitching website, and it's fully compatible with Pattern Keeper, and it's absolutely worth using this in Pattern Keeper because I guess from a distance it looks okay, but this has got a lot of confetti in it, and having Pattern Keeper to help keep track of that confetti really makes a world of difference. So I'm stitching this on 14 count black Aida, and in total there's, once this is finished, there'll be a touch under 10,000 stitches. So it's actually, for a full or semi full coverage, this is a really small stitch. It's not quite in the same realm as a HAED mini, but close to it. So this is looking pretty good, and I'm hoping to make this part of my regular rotation for next year. Okay, so the next one I have to share with you, actually, I'm just going to see if I can find my tablet to then show you what this is meant to look like when it's done. And I know I have it around here somewhere. I think I have other things sitting on top of my devices. And it'll be Murphy's Law that I find my devices after I finish filming. Here we are. Okay. Okay, so the next one I have, this is what it's going to look like when it's done. So this is a free chart that's available on the Hot Cross Stitching website, and it's called I Count My Lucky Stars. So this particular project is based upon a saying or phrase or quote, I'm not sure where I got it from, that I say to myself on a pretty regular basis. And it's based around the words that I use just to be grateful for the people I have in my life, especially my boyfriend. So this is where I'm at the moment. I'm stitching this on 28 count linen, and the thread that I'm using is a specialty overdyed thread. I think the name of the thread is Tequila Sunrise, and I think the brand is called Water Lilies or something very similar to that. So I've put a bit of a pause on stitching this one because where you see the letter N as part of count, I've mucked up my stitching just a little bit, so I'm going to need to fudge, and I just haven't quite figured out how I'm going to fudge it just yet. So I'm hoping to get back into it either late this year or maybe early next year, and hopefully get it finished. So I'm stitching this also 1/1, and this is going to look really cool because the aim with this particular pattern is, even though it's charted in black, the aim is to stitch this in whatever colours or colour you want. So in theory I want to stitch the border in blue and perhaps with the leaves and with the scrolly part, maybe using some kind of green perhaps. I haven't quite figured that part out just yet, but I think the blues and the greens could go really well with the pinks and yellows that we see here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The next project that I have to share with you is another custom crafts pattern designed by Diane Allaire, and this one is Water Tiger 2, and this is probably one of my oldest projects that I've had probably sitting in the UFO pile for several years. I started this I started it before my boyfriend and I started going out, and we've been together for over 11.5 years. So yeah, it's been going on for a while. So this one I'm about halfway through, and I'm stitching this on, I think it's 18 count linen or even weave. I've had this fabric for ages, so I can't quite remember the exact sizings or anything like that. So I'm using DMC thread, 2 strands over 1 fabric square, and it's going to be hopefully finished. This will probably be my focus piece for next year. My aim is to get this done and framed by the 18th of October. The specific date is because that is when my best friend turns 40. So this is for her. She loves tigers, and I know that this project looks a bit creepy because I haven't stitched the eyes yet, and she has this fascination with blue-eyed tigers. And this particular project made a bit of a feature in my AFL football stitching challenge because one of the football teams is the Richmond Tigers. So that one got a fair bit of attention to it, and I'm hoping it'll get a bit more attention next year as well. And yeah, should be all good. The next project I have to share with you is the Autumn in Stars Hollow. It's designed by Laura Landis in the part of the Black Needle Society, and I am taking my sweet time with this one. It's so this is the first box out of what will be 4 boxes, and we've already done summer, I think. yes, we've done summer. I haven't started on summer yet, but I'll get there. So this is where I'm at so far, and I'm stitching this on 28 count cachet linen. The fabric is by Fibre on a Whim. So I'm stitching this using a combination of DMC and specialty threads, and with the DMC and specialty threads I'm using most of what's called for in the pattern, but there are some specialty threads especially that I don't have, so I'm picking out some other threads that are in my collection that I think could be close to what's being asked of in the pattern. So it will look different. It looks different already because of some customizations or personalizations that I've done as far as the actual stitching is concerned, where I've made some mistakes and I've just needed to balance things out a little bit. I am looking forward to getting that one done though, and I've been on a big kick of watching a lot of the old series of Gilmore Girls, so I really should be stitching that while I'm watching Gilmore Girls, but priorities. The next project I have to share with you is a project that I'm really struggling with this one. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this particular kit. I think it's Luca S. It's a kit that I found or came across in a catalogue, a cross-stitching catalogue that we get here in Australia. So this particular kit is from Moldova, and it's called Three Dogs. The loose translation is or trio of dogs, and these are really cute, and I'm just struggling with this one a little bit, and it's more to do with a lot of the browns at the moment. So this is where it's at, and with the background I really should have started this stitching it as half stitch rather than full cross, because it will just make life a bit easier. So this is it's using Zweigart fabric. I believe it looks like it's 14 count and it's gridded. This is the first time I've used gridded fabric, and I had no idea what I was doing with the gridded fabric. I had no idea that I could have actually started in the corner, and anyway, it's all good. Live and learn. So I guess I'm just focusing on the first puppy's face and getting it filled in, and just having something interesting to work on if I'm not working on the background. So the next project I have is called Fight Like a Girl. So this one featured heavily this year. So this particular project, Fight Like a Girl, it's designed by, I think it's been charted by Tanya Amity, and I think the illustration is by Elena Zhnedkova. I bought this online, I think from an Etsy store, and I'm stitching this on 18 count navy blue Aida, and it's a similar blue Aida to, I guess, it's a similar blue. So this is what I was trying to show, that the two slightly different blues, it's not quite showing the way that I see in person, but this one's definitely navy blue. It's got a combination of half stitch and full cross, and a combination of single color thread and a combination of two different colors. So one strand will be, for example, dark green, and then the other strand will be light green to give it that variation in color. And it annoys me a little bit, but I think it's worth it. So this one will most likely heavily feature again next year as part of the AFL Football Challenge, and my eventual aim is to have that framed up and to give it to my niece, who is a bit over 2 years old now. So as long as I can keep working consistently on that project, I should have it done by the time she's of an age that can appreciate the different books that are appearing in that particular project. So what I'll do is I'll also bring up the cover picture for Fight Like a Girl, just so you can see what it'll look like. So that's what Fight Like a Girl will look like. So you can see there are quite a few different female characters in there from the different popular books, and yeah, it'll look pretty good. The next one I have to share with you is 12 Days of Christmas, and this one I started back in 2020. So this one's about 2 years old, but this one got a bucket load of work done this year because I had a part of the AFL Football Challenge, and I had about 2, maybe 3 teams connected to this project. I had the Sydney Swans, St Kilda Saints, and I think the West Coast Eagles. So that's where I think the Saints and the Swans, they did really well in the AFL this year. So it got a lot of stitches. I don't remember how many exactly, but this particular pattern is part of a book called The Ultimate Cross Stitch Christmas, or The Ultimate Christmas Cross Stitch, edition 2018, I think. And if you go back to some of my earlier episodes between March and September, you'll see some more details about that project and which magazine book thing that pattern is part of. The next project I have to share with you, and this is the second Dimensions kit. This one is Barnyard Kittens, and this one's really cute, and it got a lot of attention again as part of the AFL Football Challenge thing that I did, and this is where I'm up to at the moment, and I'm using all of the called for threads and the fabric that came in the kit. It's currently on 14 count Black HAEDs, and these kittens are just so cute. They really are. It's really come to life, and this particular project I had associated with a team that has cats in it, Geelong Cats, I believe, and they did really well in the AFL thing this year, and who knows, they might do well next year. It would be good to get that one done as well. It would be good. That one's really cute. So the next project I have to share with you is a Bothy threads design. Sorry for the crinkles. So it's called A Dictionary of Dogs, and this particular project is roughly 12 years old, roughly 12, and it's an easy stitch. It really is. It is an easy stitch, yet I have only gotten this so far. So in theory I could stitch maybe one motif per weekend to get it done, and I don't know why I haven't. I did start stitching this one a bit more as part of the AFL Football Challenge as well. This one was part of a connected to the team called, I think, the Western Bulldogs. Yeah. And I need to get my ass moving on it just a little bit more. The next project I have to share with you, and I do have actually the cover page for it floating around. And it's around, I swear it is. I will, however, be able to show you quickly what the picture should look like a little bit when I'm done. Anyway, it's around. So this one I've dubbed Pisces. This is where I'm up to at the moment, and it's got a lot of teal stitching in it. And the quote that I am trying to think of that's connected to it is called Pisces. Some of you will tell you, that's right. Where is it? I really do want to show you what this, here it is. Okay, so when I first printed this page, the printer was starting to run out of ink. So this will give you still a bit of an idea of what this will look like, and I just love the colours that are connected to this project. And the quote is Pisces. Not everyone gets the same version of me. One person will tell you I'm a beautiful soul. Another will tell you I'm a cold-hearted arsehole. Believe both. I act accordingly. So that is a very sassy quote, and it's one that I have mixed emotions with, depending on how I'm feeling on the day. I think it does sum up Pisces a bit, but I think that quote could be attributed to many other astrology signs as well. So I'm thinking a little bit with Gemini, because you've got the twins, but I think with everyone, like regardless of whether we're talking astrology or not, we all have different ways of acting around people, depending on circumstances and whether we're at work or we're with family or certain groups of friends. So that's what I think that quote I think can apply to everyone or anyone. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting onto some more colour with this project, and it did see a lot of progress. Well, actually, not as much as what it should have. So I had this project connected to another footy team called Port Adelaide Power, and their team colours were like this teal green or teal blue colour, black and silver, and they started coming back a bit towards the end of the fixture, but yeah, it was not one of their finest years. So maybe next year I'll be able to get a bit more work done. And I do have so many different ideas and plans and thoughts on the month of February for next year, and that I think will be part of a separate YouTube Flosstube episode. The next project I have to share with you is a Heaven and Earth design. I'm just going to bring up the cover page for it, and it's one that I think a lot of you have seen because there are so many people stitching an edition of this. So this is a mini Stitch in Time. I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit. It's an Amy Stewart design, and this thing is just beautiful. I just fell in love with the colours, and I fell in love with the fact that it's a bookshelf, and there were just so many people stitching different types of bookshelves, and I just love this particular one is in 4 seasons. And I forgot to mention, with Pisces, I'm stitching this 2/2 on 28 count linen using DMC thread. So this one I'm stitching 1/1 on the 28 count easy grid squares, and I'm really happy with how this is coming together, and I really want to spend some more time on this one because it's just so beautiful, and I love seeing this one coming to life. It really is beautiful. So I'm hoping that I can incorporate that into my plans a bit more. The next Heaven and Earth design project I have to share with you is one that I had the best of intentions with for getting it done within 12 months. And I'm laughing because I should never say that about a HAED. So this is Heaven and Earth Designs, Moonlit Waters, Max Colours. The artwork is by Julie Fain, and I initially purchased this as a paper chart, and I then got really sick and tired of the pattern in terms of figuring out which symbol I wanted to stitch on and then trying to find it in the key. I'd then find a colour, then I'd forget which symbol the colour was connected to, and then I was introduced to Pattern Keeper and it changed my life. So to help it into perspective, this is where I'm at so far. I stitched 3 pages of this using a paper chart, and I guess it's probably where we start seeing the moon and the edges of the fairy's wings. That's when I started using Pattern Keeper, and I'm stitching this 1/1 on 28 count linen, and Pattern Keeper has saved my sanity with this particular project. I did purchase the digital chart after DMC released more of its colours, that started from 1 to 40 something, and which meant that this digital chart has included those new colours, and I was in a world of pain initially when I got back into stitching this, just to try and make some adjustments and incorporate the colours that or the new colours into the chart. And I think it's working out pretty good now, because even with the purples and such, I had to fudge that a bit anyway when I was stitching it on using the paper chart, just because I had either stitched some symbols and not marked it off, or marked off things that I thought that I'd stitched. So it is what it is, part of the stitching life, I think. But I'm looking forward to spending some more time on Moonlit Waters as well. That's one I do want to get a lot more done on, and it definitely won't be finished in 12 months. Because I had the hope that I could get it done for my sister's birthday. It will be done for one of her birthdays. I just don't know which one it will be just yet. Speaking of giant projects and not knowing how long it'll take to get done, the next one I have to share with you is one of my own designs. It's called Blue Mountains Walking Trail. So this is where I'm at so far, and this is being stitched on the 28 count easy grid. This one has got squares that are 20 by 20, and I've started this one a couple of years ago, and it should end up looking a bit like this. So it's going to look really pretty when it's done, and it's available as PDF download on the Hot Cross Stitching website, and I am eventually working on getting it in a physical chart as well for purchase. So watch this space. I do have some physical charts, and I do remember in my last episode I talked about those particular charts, and life has happened. So my aim is to get those charts available up on my website by the start of next year. So it'll be early January. My hope is hopefully life settles down after Christmas a little bit, and I'll have a little bit more time to chill and actually press the buttons I need to make it happen. So if you're hanging out for a physical chart, please hang in there for just a little bit longer. It'll be worth it. I'll make sure it's worth it for you. So the next project I have to share with you, this one's another Heaven and Earth design. This one is called Scaredy Cats, and this is where I'm at. I initially fell in love with the project because of all the purples in it and the really cute cats that are in it, and I then started stitching it, and I just felt really put off by the stitching not matching the cover page. So the artwork is by Jeff HAEDs, and I'm hoping that it gets better. I have seen on the Full Coverage Fanatics website, or Facebook group, sorry, that there's another person who's been over 50% done with that project, and it does look better, like once I get to where the cats are and the jack-o'-lantern and such. That will look good. I'm just struggling with the background at the moment. So this is being stitched 1/1 on 28 count linen, and I'm looking forward to getting it done. I'm looking forward to getting a bit more of the center coming alive, so I'll feel more in love with it. Another project I've been working on is another one of my own designs. This one is called Black and White Rolled Up Daisy, and this is looking good. I always say that. I'm biased, I really am. It's based on a photo that I took, and I'm stitching this on 18 count black Aida, 2/1, all DMC threads, fully compatible with Pattern Keeper. And when I bring up the cover picture, this is why I'm in love with it. And this is one of the physical charts that will become available for purchase in January next year, in 2023. And I'm really proud of this project, with how it's coming to life. It's pretty good. The next by the way, this is the cover page for 4 Seasons Kittens, and this is what it'll look like when it's done, just as a bit of background context. When I first recorded this particular episode, things got jumbled around, so my apologies. The next project I have to share is by Design Works. This one, I love the colours in this one. It's called Rainbow Zebras. Well, no, just zebras, but I'm calling it Rainbow Zebras. So this one's just really cute. I love the colours in this. I think I started this a couple of years ago, and I put a little bit more work into it as part of the Pride Week. Again, connected to the AFL Football Challenge. Oh, the other thing to note as well, this one I did put a bit of time and effort into this one this year because of the AFL Football Challenge. I had it connected to the Collingwood Magpies. Their team colours are black and white, so black fabric, mostly white, grey tones, all good. So with the Design Works Zebras, this one's really cool and it's a lot of fun, and I don't know why I haven't done more on it. So this came in as a kit. So this is being stitched on 14 count white Aida. I'm using all of the threads that go with it, and it's a nice stitch. Why am I not spending more time on it? I'm hoping it'll appear a bit more next year. This next project, I'm conflicted with this one. This next one has a bit of a backstory, and I guess it's lessons learned. So for context, I purchased this next project via an Etsy store, and I think I started this one back in 2020, and I love this design. It's really cute, it's beautiful, and it wasn't until a few months later, after I'd started working on the project, that I came to realise that it may be in breach of copyright. So I believe that Randall Spangler is the true copyright owner of the project, and It's definitely available at Heaven and Earth Designs. Why am I fumbling? So I've seen a few people stitching on this, and it's called Trick or Treat. And I think this one is just beautiful. I love the pattern. I love the colours in it. It's just so cute. It's beautiful. It's awesome. I'm gonna have to do a bit more research to find out if Randall Spangler has given copyright access to other artists as well, or other platforms, other sellers, or whichever. So this is where I'm at. This is being stitched on 18 count Aida, and with the way that this particular project has been charted, the person had decided to put their own creative spin on it, so to speak, and treat it a bit like a dimensions kit, where it's all full cross, but in this particular case it's got some that are combined threads, so a strand of light blue and a strand of dark blue, or a light green and a dark green, to give it that texture. And there is something about those kinds of projects, and that's why I'm struggling a bit with the dimensions kits as well, where it's having the one thread of the two threads of two different colours. I'm just struggling a bit with it. So this is where morally I'm feeling conflicted with Trick or Treat, and I've got the bug to stitch on it again because last night my boyfriend and I watched on Netflix the Ghostbusters Afterlife, and the old house that's in that movie, it reminded me so much of the old house it's in Trick or Treat. That's where it's like, oh yeah, I want to get that out again, and then I'd go down that path of going, oh, but that's right, it's a picture that's not copyright. I don't know, I'm feeling conflicted. What do you all think? I have contemplated purchasing the Randall Spangler pattern from Heaven and Earth Designs and seeing if I can somehow merge the two projects together, or two patterns together, to not feel so conflicted about stitching on this, because I've invested a heap of time into this, and it's going to be a great project when it's done. It's going to be so good. I'm just feeling really conflicted with it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. Okay, on a brighter note, the next project I have to share with you is called, I'm calling it Midnight Owls, or Midnight, I want to call it Midnight Glow, but that's not quite right. So I started this one a couple of years ago when I was going through a phase of stitching on Christmas themed projects, and this particular one is I think the magazine is called Christmas Cuddles, and it's a design by what is it? It is designed by Jenny Barton, and it's out of the magazine. It's out of a magazine called The World of Cross Stitching. So that's the magazine that the owl is from. I'm not sure what the edition number is, but this is pretty much what it's going to look like when it's done. I have talked a bit more about it on my blog, and this particular project, it's being stitched on, I think, this looks like 14 count navy blue Aida, and it's the I think it's the same fabric as, or same shade as, so this one's going to look really cute when it's done. It's got DMC thread, 2 strands over 1 fabric square, and it'll look good when it's done. It's going to be really cute. The next project I have to share with you is one of my own designs. It's called Mini Mushrooms. And I guess I'm calling it Gundaroo. I've also nicknamed it Gundaroo Mini Mushrooms. And so this is what it will look like when it's done. And I've been stitching on this for quite a few years. I've taken a break from it, but it is being stitched on 14 count Ada, pardon me, and I'm about halfway through. So this is where I'm at, and this is how far I've got to go. And it is it's compatible with Pattern Keeper. But this is the first of my designs that I've used a physical chart for, and I think it was just a way of just checking out how it's going and making sure that it works out okay. And I'm feeling a bit uncertain as to whether to finish it fully or to just have this half done, because you get a pretty good idea of what the project looks like just as it is. It would mean that I don't stitch a lot of the greeny grass stuff on the side. So I don't know. I've got some ideas of what I could do, but I think this is turning out pretty good if I say so myself. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to fit this in with my plans for next year. I was recently watching Stitching Mummy, and she gave me some really good ideas of how I can sort out my plans for next year, but I won't go into too much detail just yet, because I've still got some ideas of how it's all going to work. And by the time my next episode rolls around, I want to have it all clear in my head and on paper to then be able to share with you what's going on. So, the last project I have to share with you. And this one, if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, you've seen this one a fair bit. So this is Dewdrop Daisy, and I am about 100 stitches, if that, about 100 stitches away from getting my 22,000 stitches done for this year. So that's why I've been working so heavily on this one. So on the Full Coverage Fanatics Facebook group, there was a few variations of challenges that were happening for the year 2022, and my interpretation of it was to get 22,000 stitches done on a project. And this one has just over 60,000 stitches in it when it's done, and I have gotten, I think, just over 40,000 stitches done. I'm just going to bring up the project just to be absolutely certain. Okay, so this is what it will look like when it's done. And I'm over 60% complete for the project, and let's see, I've gotten 40,240 stitches completed so far. I've stitched 229 today. So this is Pattern Keeper, and that's how I'm able to get some of my details about the project. I think when I started stitching heavily on this at the start of this year, I think I had a bit over 18,000 stitches put into this. So it's amazing what 22,000 stitches can do for any project. And I don't know if I'll do anything similar for next year. I have to wait and see. I have to think about it a bit, because I have noted a few different projects I want to get done, especially with a couple that are just so close to getting finished that it'd be a shame not to get them done. So watch this space, wait and see. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here. We do have, I guess, less than a week until Christmas. This time next week it'll be Christmas. So it is the 18th of December that this episode is being recorded on. So we've made it, people. We have survived this year. We've survived Christmas. And it's been one hell of a year. The last few months have been rough, I think, in different ways for many people. So I hope that you all have a wonderful Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah or any other special event around this time, I hope you have a wonderful time. I hope the celebrations go the way that you intend them to, and you get to spend time with loved ones and enjoy some food and drink with everyone. And yeah, hopefully next year is going to be a lot better. So it'll be all good. It will be okay. I hope you all have a wonderful time, and I hope you get some stitching done, and I hope this video is facing up around the right way this time, because if it's not, I don't want to have to be talking for another hour and a half to get this done. So thank you for sticking with me for this time, and I will see you next time with my plans for next year, and let's see if I stick with them. See ya.